The war was far from over, but momentum had shifted. The species that the 18 months after the first shots were fired, the galaxy looked very different from what anyone had expected. The Galactic Council, once the undisputed rulers of known space, was falling apart. 3 species had already withdrawn from the alliance and others were secretly negotiating with humanity. The war that was supposed to end in weeks had dragged on for over a year. Council fleets that should have crushed human resistance were instead scattered across dozens of systems, fighting an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. Worse, human technology had continued to improve during the fighting, while alien production facilities lay in ruins. In the command center beneath New Geneva, Emperor Nathan Cross studied the latest intelligence reports. The Council's capital system, home to the Great Nexus Station, was now defended by less than 200 ships. Most of their fleet was tied up fighting human raiders or defending critical installations. "It's time," Nathan told his war council. "We end this war by striking at the heart of their power." Admiral Jake Morrison had been planning this operation for months. Operation Final Answer will use every ship we have. 800 vessels converging on the Council capital from 3 directions. We'll overwhelm their defenses and capture the Nexus Station itself. General Pete Davis was concerned about casualties. "The aliens will fight hardest when defending their capital. They know that losing the Nexus means losing the war." "Which is exactly why we need to take it," Nathan replied. "As long as the Council exists, there will always be aliens who think they can rule over humanity. We destroy their symbol of power and show the galaxy that a new age has begun." Captain Sarah Bell, now promoted to admiral, would lead the main assault force. Her flagship, the TES Liberty, had been upgraded with the latest weapons and armor. Captain Tony Garcia commanded the fast attack squadrons that would disable the station's defenses. Colonel Beth Martinez prepared her Marines for the most important boarding action in human history. The final campaign began with a massive deception operation. Human intelligence leaked false information suggesting that the main attack would target the Vorthon homeworld. The aliens moved ships to defend what they thought was the real objective, leaving their capital more vulnerable than ever. When the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace around the Council capital, they found exactly what Admiral Morrison had hoped for. The defending force was smaller than expected and positioned poorly to respond to attacks from multiple directions. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," Jake announced over the fleet communication channel. "Today we end this war. Today we show the galaxy that no species will ever again threaten humanity with slavery. Attack!" The battle for the Nexus Station was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 800 human warships attacked the most heavily defended system in Council space. The fighting was fierce and desperate, with both sides knowing that everything depended on the outcome. Admiral Bell led her battleships in a direct assault on the station's main defenses. The TES Liberty and her sister ships absorbed massive amounts of alien fire while their Thunderbolt weapons tore through enemy formations. Human ships that had been built in hidden asteroid shipyards now proved their worth against the best the aliens could offer. Captain Garcia's fast attack squadrons used their superior speed and maneuverability to hunt down alien defenders. His ships darted between the massive defense platforms, targeting their power systems and weapon mounts. One by one, the installations that had protected the Nexus for thousands of years went silent. The station itself was enormous, larger than most human cities. Its crystal and metal structure housed millions of alien civilians, along with the government buildings and military command centers. Colonel Martinez knew that taking such a massive installation would require perfect coordination between her Marine units. "Remember, we're not here to destroy the station," Beth told her officers. "We're here to capture it intact. These aliens will be our neighbors after the war ends. We want them to remember that humans can be merciful as well as dangerous." The Marines used specialized assault shuttles to dock with the station at dozens of points simultaneously. Human soldiers poured into the alien structure, fighting their way toward the council chambers while protecting civilian areas from damage. The fighting inside the station was intense but brief. Many alien defenders had never experienced real combat, while the humans had been fighting for over a year. Room by room, corridor by corridor, the Marines advanced toward their objective. The most important moment came when Colonel Martinez reached the Great Council Chamber. The massive room where 12 species had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was now empty, except for a few remaining alien officials. Speaker Thexvor, the Vorthan leader who had delivered the original ultimatum to humanity, stood alone in the center of the chamber. His crystal body flickered with dim light, all his arrogance gone. Around him, the platforms that had held alien representatives stood empty. "It's over," Beth told him through her suit's translation system. "Surrender now, and your people will be treated with honor." Thexvor looked at the human soldiers surrounding him. These creatures that he had dismissed as primitive savages had conquered the greatest empire in galactic history. "I surrender," he said quietly. "I surrender in the name of what remains of the Galactic Council." The fall of the Nexus Station marked the end of organized alien resistance. With their capital captured and their leadership either dead or imprisoned, the remaining Council forces stopped fighting. One by one, alien commanders across the galaxy accepted human peace terms. 3 months later, Emperor Nathan Cross stood in the same chamber where humanity had been threatened with slavery. But now the room looked very different. The old platforms had been removed and replaced with a circular arrangement of seats where representatives from dozens of species could meet as equals. The first session of the new Galactic Assembly brought together delegates from across known space. Former Council species sat alongside races that had been oppressed for centuries. Independent worlds that had never been allowed to participate in galactic government now had voices in the new order. The age of species ruling over other species is over, Nathan announced to the assembled delegates. From this day forward, all intelligent races will be treated as equals. No species will claim authority over another. No council will threaten entire civilizations with slavery. Ambassador Lisa Carter, now serving as humanity's chief diplomat, worked tirelessly to establish the new government. The Galactic Assembly would make decisions by consensus rather than force. Trade agreements would benefit all participants rather than enriching a few powerful species. Military forces would exist to protect, not to conquer. Captain Janet Brooks, formerly one of Admiral Wright's fleet commanders, now oversaw the establishment of joint patrol fleets. Human ships worked alongside former enemies to protect trade, routes, and respond to emergencies. The galaxy discovered that humans, despite their fearsome military reputation, preferred cooperation to domination when given the choice. Dr. Susan Clark's medical advances began saving lives across multiple species. Human doctors worked with alien scientists to develop treatments for diseases that had plagued various races for centuries. The same creativity that had produced devastating weapons now focused on healing and improvement. Engineer Mike Johnson led projects that improved living conditions on worlds throughout the galaxy. Human engineering skills, combined with alien knowledge, created wonders that benefited billions of sentient beings. Space stations became more efficient, planetary environments were restored, and new colonies were established in previously uninhabitable systems. The transformation was not without challenges. Some former Council species struggled to accept their new status as equals rather than rulers. A few extremist groups attempted to restart the old conflicts, but they found little support. Most species had learned that cooperation produced better results than conquest. Admiral Morrison, now serving as the first Galactic Defense Coordinator, faced the challenge of integrating former enemies into a unified defense force. Human officers worked to train alien crews in modern tactics while learning from centuries of alien experience in space operations. The hardest part, Jake told his staff during one planning session, is helping them unlearn everything they thought they knew about warfare. The council species fought the same way for thousands of years. We need to teach them to think creatively and adapt quickly. The new military doctrine emphasized flexibility over rigid hierarchy. Mixed species crews served on ships designed with input from multiple races. Human tactical innovation combined with alien technological knowledge created a defense force. Unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, 2 years after the fall of the Nexus, Emperor Nathan Cross returned to the rebuilt council chamber for a special ceremony. The Galactic Assembly was officially adopting the Charter of Species Rights, a document that guaranteed basic freedoms for all intelligent life. As Nathan looked around the chamber, he saw representatives from over 100 different species. Former enemies sat next to former slaves. Races that had never spoken to each other now worked together on common projects. The galaxy had become what the old Admiral Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship. The metal floor felt cold under his boots. He looked out at the stars through the big window, his hands held tight to the rail in front of him. Today would change everything. The ship was called USSF Valiant. It was one of 847 ships that humans had built in secret. For 300 years, the Galactic Empire had ruled over Earth. They took what they wanted. They gave humans old technology. They made humans pay heavy taxes. They treated people like animals. Jack remembered the day everything changed for him. The Empire had sent ships to Luna Colony. Luna was the place where humans lived on the moon. The Empire said the people there were causing trouble. They said humans were planning something bad. So they attacked. The Empire ships came down from space like angry birds. They shot at the buildings where families lived. They shot at the schools where children learned. They shot at the hospitals where sick people got better. They did not care who they killed. Jack's daughter, Lisa, lived on Luna Colony. She had a husband named Peter and 2 small children. Lisa worked as a teacher. Peter fixed machines. They were good people who never hurt anyone. When the Empire ships came, Lisa and her family were having dinner. The bomb hit their building. They all died in seconds. Jack was on Earth when he heard the news. He felt something break inside his heart, but he did not cry. He did not scream. He got angry, very angry, the kind of angry that burns like fire and never goes out. Jack was not the only one who felt this way. All over Earth, humans felt the same anger. They had been quiet for too long. They had followed the Empire's rules for too long. They had let the Empire take their freedom for too long. But the Empire did not know something important. Humans had been planning. For 80 years, the smartest people on Earth had been working in secret. They built hidden labs under the ocean. They built secret factories inside hollow asteroids. They built research stations on the dark side of distant moons where no one would look. Dr. Kate Sullivan was one of these smart people. She worked in a lab hidden deep under the Pacific Ocean. Kate had spent 30 years studying how ships could travel faster than light. The Empire had given humans old engines that were slow and weak. But Kate found a way to make new engines that were much better. Kate's engines used something called quantum folding. They could bend space like folding a piece of paper. This let ships travel much faster than anything the Empire had. Kate's engines were so good that a human ship could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Hayes worked on weapons. His lab was hidden inside an asteroid belt where Empire ships never went. Ryan knew that Empire ships had strong shields. He knew that Empire weapons could destroy planets. But Ryan found their weakness. Empire shields worked by pushing away energy. But Ryan made weapons that did not use energy the same way. His plasma beams were different. They went through Empire shields like walking through air. His quantum torpedoes did not just blow things up. They made matter fall apart piece by piece. Captain Danny Rodriguez was a pilot. He helped design new fighter ships. Danny's fighters were small and fast. They could turn invisible when they wanted to hide. They could phase through solid walls like ghosts. Danny trained thousands of pilots to fly these new ships. The Empire thought humans were weak. They thought human technology was old and broken. They thought human ships were toys compared to Empire battleships. They were very wrong. For 300 years, humans had acted weak. They had pretended to struggle with simple technology. They had let the Empire think they were stupid. This was all part of the plan. While the Empire felt safe and superior, humans were building the most advanced war fleet in the galaxy. Commander Steve Parker ran the secret shipyards. His teams worked day and night for decades. They built ships that looked small from the outside, but had incredible power inside. They used new materials that were stronger than anything the Empire knew about. They put weapons and shields into spaces that should have been too small. The ships had names like USSF Retribution, USSF Defiance, and USSF Liberation. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy an Empire battle group. Each ship had technology that the Empire could not understand or stop. Amy Foster was a colonel who trained special soldiers. Her troops learned to fight in space, on planets, and inside enemy ships. They learned to use Empire weapons better than Empire soldiers. They learned to think faster and move quicker than any alien warrior. Dr. Paul Newman worked on intelligence. His job was to learn everything about the Empire. He found out where Empire ships were stationed. He learned how Empire commanders thought. He discovered the Empire's secret codes and battle plans. Paul's information helped humans plan their attack perfectly. The plan was simple but brilliant. Human fleets would attack every major Empire world at the same time. This would confuse the Empire and spread their forces thin. Humans would not try to conquer territory. Instead, they would destroy Empire power and free all the enslaved species. Jack looked at his watch. In 10 minutes, human ships all across the galaxy would begin their attack. He thought about Lisa and her family. He thought about all the humans who had died under Empire rule. He thought about all the alien species who suffered as slaves. The time had come. Jack picked up his communicator and spoke to his crew. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear the determination in his words. "This is Admiral Morrison. Today we show the galaxy that humans will not be slaves anymore. Today we begin the fight for freedom." Around him, his crew worked at their stations. They had trained for this moment their whole lives. They knew the FOI risks. They knew many of them might die. But they also knew that staying quiet and weak was no longer an option. The countdown reached 0. Jack gave the order. "All ships, jump to hyperspace. Target, Drakmor system. Let's show the Empire what humans can really do." 847 human ships disappeared into hyperspace. They moved faster than Empire sensors could track. They carried weapons that Empire shields could not stop. They were commanded by humans who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The Terran war fleet was coming. The galaxy would never be the same. Emperor Thulmanek sat on his crystal throne in the center of Drakmor Prime. The throne room was huge and made of polished stone that sparkled with different colors. Light came from floating crystals that hung in the air. The Emperor was 10 feet tall with blue skin and 4 arms. His eyes glowed red when he was angry. Today he was laughing. His military leaders stood around him. General Karthos had gray skin and looked like a giant lizard with sharp teeth. Admiral Vexilon was smaller but had tentacles instead of arms. Both of them were also laughing. "The humans dare to attack us," the Emperor said through his voice translator. The machine made his words sound like thunder. "These weak mammals think they can fight the greatest empire in the galaxy?" General Karthos nodded his big head. "My lord, our scouts report that. Human ships are approaching several of our systems. Their largest ships are smaller than our patrol boats. This will be over quickly." Admiral Vexilon waved his tentacles in amusement. "The humans have been our slaves for 3 centuries. They barely know how to fix their old ships. Now they think they can challenge our mighty fleet? It is almost sad." The Emperor stood up from his throne. He was so tall that his head almost touched the ceiling. "Let them come. We will destroy their pitiful fleet and teach the galaxy what happens when slaves forget their place. After we crush them, we will bomb every human world until nothing moves." But the Emperor and his generals did not know what was really coming. Far from Drakmor, human ships were dropping out of hyperspace all around the outer planets of the system. They moved in perfect formation like a school of deadly fish. Sub-Admiral Helen Price commanded the USSF Retribution. Her ship looked small compared to the Empire patrol ships that guarded the system. But looks could be very wrong. Helen was 50 years old and had gray hair. She had lost her brother in an Empire bombing 10 years ago. Today was payback time. "Sensors. Show 60 Empire ships in defensive positions," reported her tactical officer. "They are powering up weapons and moving to intercept us." Helen smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Let them come. All ships, prepare to show these aliens what human engineering can really do." The Empire Patrol Commander was a Draconian named Commander Zultek. He looked at his screens and saw the small human ships approaching. He felt insulted that humans would dare to attack his forces. "All ships, target the human vessels," Zultek ordered. "These mammals need to learn respect." 60 Empire ships opened fire. Their energy beams lit up space like deadly lightning. Their missiles flew toward the human fleet. The Empire weapons were powerful enough to destroy moons. But something impossible happened. The human ships did not get hit. They moved too fast. They turned and twisted in ways that Empire ships could not match. When Empire beams did hit them, the beams went right through the ships like they were made of smoke. "Impossible!" Zultek shouted. "Their ships are phasing through our weapons. How are they doing this?" Helen Price watched the Empire attack fail completely. Human technology allowed their ships to shift between dimensions. Empire weapons could not hit targets that were not fully in normal space. "Our turn," Helen said calmly. "All ships, return fire." The human response was devastating. Plasma beams shot out from the human ships. These beams were different from anything the Empire had seen. They cut through Empire shields like hot knives through butter. They melted Empire armor like ice in fire. The quantum torpedoes were even worse. When they hit Empire ships, strange things happened. The ships did not just explode, they came apart piece by piece. Metal turned into gas, energy systems shut down, whole sections of ships simply disappeared. In 17 minutes, 60 Empire ships became floating debris. Not one human ship was damaged. Commander Zultek floated in space inside an escape pod. His ship was gone, his entire fleet was gone. He could not understand what had happened. How could weak humans destroy Empire ships so easily? On Drakmor Prime, alarms started screaming. The crystal lights in the throne room flashed red. Emperor Thulmanek stopped laughing. His red eyes got brighter with rage and confusion. "What is happening?" he demanded. A communications officer ran into the throne room. He was shaking with fear. "My lord, the patrol fleet at the outer system has been destroyed. All 60 ships are gone." General Karthos could not believe it. "That is impossible. Human weapons cannot penetrate our shields." "Show me," the Emperor commanded. The large screen in the throne room lit up. It showed the battle recordings from the patrol fleet. Everyone watched in shock as human ships moved like ghosts and fired. Weapons that destroyed everything they touched. Admiral Vexilon's tentacles went stiff with fear. "My lord, these are not the same humans we have been fighting. Their technology is far beyond what they should have." More alarms started ringing. Another communications officer ran in. "My lord, we are receiving reports from across the galaxy. Human fleets have appeared at Kepler Station, Vega Prime, the Centauri shipyards, and 15 other major systems. They are attacking everywhere at once." The Emperor felt something he had not felt in 1,000 years. Fear. Real fear. "How many ships do the humans have?" "Our estimates suggest over 800 vessels, my lord. They are coordinating attacks across 40 star systems." Captain Danny Rodriguez led a squadron of human fighters from the USSF Defiance. His fighters were tiny compared to Empire ships, but they moved like angry hornets. Danny had been flying for 20 years. He knew every trick of space combat. The Empire launched their own fighters to stop the humans. Empire fighters were bigger and had more weapons, but Danny's ships could do things that Empire pilots had never seen. Danny's fighter suddenly disappeared from Empire sensors. It had gone invisible. A second later, it appeared inside the Empire formation. Danny's weapons cut through 3 Empire fighters before they knew he was there. Other human fighters did the same thing. They appeared and disappeared like magic. They flew through solid objects when they wanted to avoid enemy fire. Empire pilots found themselves shooting at targets that were not really there. "This is impossible," radioed an Empire pilot. "Human fighters are flying through our ships." Danny smiled as he disabled another Empire vessel. Human technology let his fighter phase through solid matter. He could fly through the middle of an Empire battleship and shoot at targets from inside their own defenses. The Empire space battle turned into a disaster. Human fighters destroyed Empire squadrons without taking any losses. Human capital ships cut through Empire battle lines like they were made of paper. On the planet's surface, panic spread through the Empire command centers. Reports came in from all over the galaxy. Human fleets were not just attacking randomly, they were hitting every important Empire base at exactly the same time. Colonel Amy Foster's special operations teams were already on the planet. They had infiltrated Drakmor Prime weeks ago, waiting for this moment. Amy's soldiers had equipment that made them invisible to Empire sensors. They could walk right past Empire guards without being seen. Amy led a team into the Empire Communications Center. Her mission was to capture the facility intact so humans could use Empire communication networks. The building was heavily guarded, but Empire security was not designed to stop invisible intruders. The attack was swift and silent. Empire guards found themselves unconscious before they knew they were under attack. Amy's team took control of the entire building in minutes without killing anyone. Humans wanted to win the war, not massacre helpless prisoners. Emperor Thulmanik realized that his empire was under attack by an enemy he did not understand. Human technology was far superior to anything the empire possessed. Human tactics were perfect. Human coordination was flawless. For 3,000 years, the empire had ruled the galaxy through fear and superior firepower. Now they faced an enemy that was better than them in every way. The humans they had treated as slaves were destroying the greatest military force in galactic history. The Emperor's throne room filled with panicking officers. Reports of defeats came in faster than anyone could process. Human ships were winning everywhere. Empire forces were surrendering or fleeing in terror. "How long have they been preparing for this?" General Karathos asked in a shaking voice. The answer came from Dr. Paul Newman, broadcasting on all Empire communication channels. His voice was calm and confident. "We have been planning this for 80 years. Every weakness in your empire, every flaw in your technology, every mistake in your tactics. We have studied them all and prepared accordingly." The Emperor slumped in his crystal throne. For the first time in his long life, he wondered if his empire could survive. The humans had not just attacked them. They had outsmarted them completely. News of the human attack spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. On every world, in every space station, on every ship, beings watched in shock as reports came in. The mighty galactic empire was losing to humans. Ambassador Elena Martinez stood in the Great Hall of Kepler Station. This was where representatives from 47 different alien species met to discuss trade and politics. Elena was a tall woman with dark hair and smart brown eyes. She had been Earth's secret ambassador for 10 years, pretending to negotiate small trade deals while actually gathering intelligence. Today, she had a very different message to deliver. The hall was filled with alien delegates. There were tall blue Andromedans with 3 eyes, There were small green centaurians who looked like talking plants. There were the rock-like Titanians who moved slowly but lived for thousands of years. All of them looked scared and confused. "Friends," Elena said, her voice carrying clearly through the hall's sound system. "Today marks the end of an era. For 3 millennia, the Galactic Empire has ruled through fear and oppression. They have enslaved entire species. They have stolen resources from countless worlds. They have murdered anyone who dared to resist." A Centaurian delegate named Grove Tell spoke up. His voice sounded like wind through leaves. "Ambassador Martinez, our sensors show human ships destroying Empire fleets throughout the galaxy. How is this possible? Human technology is primitive compared to Empire systems." Elena smiled. "That is what the Empire wanted everyone to believe. For centuries, humans have appeared weak and backward. This was intentional. While the Empire felt safe and superior, we were developing technology that surpasses anything they possess." On the station's main screen, images played showing human ships in battle. The delegates watched in amazement as small human vessels destroyed Empire battleships with ease. Human fighters moved like dancing lights, avoiding every shot while striking with perfect accuracy. Commander Steve Parker's engineering teams were already at work throughout the system. They did not just destroy Empire installations, they captured them intact and began reverse engineering Empire technology in real time. Steve's people were brilliant engineers who could understand and improve any machine they encountered. "The humans are not conquering Empire territory," Elena continued. "We are liberating it. Every species that has suffered under Empire rule will be free to govern themselves. We offer partnership, not domination." This caused excitement among many delegates. The Zelani Confederation had been forced to pay crushing taxes to the Empire for over 200 years. Their representative, a bird-like creature named Kektar, stood up with his feathers rustling. "What proof do we have that humans will not simply replace the Empire as our new masters?" Kektar asked. Elena had expected this question. "Because we are already proving it. Human forces are attacking Empire military targets while protecting civilian populations. We are broadcasting our intentions on all frequencies. We want alliance, not Empire." At that moment, alarms began sounding throughout Kepler Station. The Empire garrison was trying to evacuate, but they found that human forces had already surrounded the station. Colonel Amy Foster's Special Operations teams had been in position for hours. The Empire commander, a draconian general named Thekvar, tried to escape in his personal ship. But human interceptors were waiting. They disabled his engines without harming his crew and brought him back to the station. Amy Foster herself escorted the captured general into the delegation hall. Amy was a small woman with short red hair and fierce green eyes. She had trained her whole life for missions like this. "General Thekvar," Amy announced to the assembled delegates, "you are charged with war crimes against civilian populations. You will be given a fair trial according to galactic law." The alien delegates were amazed. In 3,000 years of Empire rule, no one had ever seen an Empire general captured alive. Even more surprising, the humans were promising a fair trial instead of immediate execution. "This is what human justice looks like," Elena explained. "We believe in law, not revenge." Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. On the industrial world of Factorum Prime, Empire Overseer Grulthek made a terrible mistake. When he learned that human forces were approaching, he ordered his troops to execute all human workers in the factories as a terror tactic. The response was swift and devastating. Colonel Amy Foster had trained teams throughout the galaxy. Lieutenant Sarah Collins led the assault on Factorum Prime. Her soldiers moved like shadows through the Empire compound. Sarah was 28 years old and had been planning this mission for 3 years. She knew every corridor, every guard, post, every security system in the Empire facility. When Grultek's troops began killing human workers, Sarah's team struck like lightning. The Empire guards found themselves unconscious before they could fire a shot. Sarah's soldiers used non-lethal weapons whenever possible. They wanted to stop the killing, not add to it. Within 2 hours, every human worker was free and safely evacuated. Grultek himself was found cowering in his private bunker. He expected to be killed immediately. Instead, Sarah placed him under arrest and read him his rights according to human law. The terrified overseer could not understand why these humans were showing him mercy when his people showed none. Dr. Paul Newman was broadcasting from the Liberated Research Facility on Titan Base. Paul was a thin man with gray hair and thick glasses. He had spent decades studying Empire technology and tactics. Now he was revealing the scope of human preparation to the entire galaxy. "Citizens of the galaxy," Paul said, his voice calm and confident. "What you are witnessing today did not happen by accident. For 80 years, the brightest human minds have been working in secret. We have studied every aspect of Empire power. We have identified every weakness. We have prepared countermeasures for every possible threat." Paul activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red dots marked Empire strongholds. Blue dots showed human forces. The pattern was clear. Humans had not attacked randomly. Every strike was perfectly positioned to maximize strategic impact. Empire power is built on fear and the illusion of invincibility, Paul continued. Today, we are proving that no tyranny lasts forever. Every oppressed species in the galaxy now sees that resistance is possible. The psychological impact was enormous. For 3,000 years, the Empire had convinced everyone that fighting back was hopeless. Subject species had accepted slavery because they believed the Empire could never be defeated. But humans were not just winning battles, they were winning them easily. Empire technology, which had seemed so advanced, was being countered by human innovation. Empire tactics, which had crushed countless rebellions, were being defeated by human strategy. On the mining world of Kepler-7, the local population rose up against their Empire overseers. They had watched human ships destroy the orbital defense platforms. They had seen Empire troops fleeing in panic. For the first time in their lives, they believed freedom was possible. The uprising was led by a young Centaurian named Veltar. His people had been forced to work in dangerous mines for generations. Many had died extracting rare metals for Empire use. But when human ships appeared in orbit, Veltar knew the time had come to fight. The rebellion was successful because human forces provided support. Captain Nancy Davis, commanding the USSF Liberation, offered protection to the rebels while they secured their world. Nancy's ship destroyed the Empire garrison's heavy weapons while allowing the local population to handle the rest. "We are not here to fight your battles for you," Nancy explained to Veltar. "We are here to give you the chance to fight for yourselves." This became the pattern across the galaxy. Human forces would eliminate Empire military threats, but local populations would take charge of their own liberation. Humans offered support and protection, not conquest. The Empire's response grew increasingly desperate. Imperial High Command realized they were not fighting a normal enemy. Human technology was superior. Human intelligence was perfect. Human coordination was flawless. Emperor Thulmanek called an emergency session of his war council. The Crystal throne room was now filled with panicking generals and admirals. Reports of defeats continued to pour in from every corner of the Empire. "How many worlds have we lost?" the Emperor demanded. General Karthos checked his datapad with shaking hands. 63 star systems are now under human control or have declared independence. "Another 40 systems report active human operations." Admiral Vexilon's tentacles writhed with fear. "My lord, our fleets are being destroyed faster than we can count them. Human ships appear to be immune to our weapons while their weapons cut through our defenses like they do not exist." The Emperor felt his 1,000-year reign crumbling around him. "What about our allies?" What about the species that support us? The answer came from his intelligence chief, a spider-like being named Sektoth. My lord, our allies are abandoning us. The hegemony has declared neutrality. The Trade Federation is negotiating with human representatives. Even some of our own governors are surrendering rather than fighting. The unthinkable was happening. The greatest empire in galactic history was falling apart in a matter of days, and it was falling to a species that the Empire had dismissed as weak slaves. On Earth, President Carol Wright watched the reports with mixed emotions. She was proud Emperor Thulmanek stood in his war room staring at the galactic map. Red lights showed where the Empire was losing control. There were so many red lights that the map looked like it was bleeding. In 5 days, humans had destroyed 3,000 years of Empire power. The Emperor's 4 arms trembled with rage and fear. His red eyes glowed brighter than anyone had ever seen. Around him, his remaining generals and admirals waited for orders. Most of them wanted to surrender, but none dared say it. "Bring me the Star Eater," the Emperor commanded. The room went silent. Even General Karthos, who had served the Empire for 2 centuries, looked shocked. Admiral Vexilon's tentacles went completely still. "My lord," General Karthos said carefully, "the Star Eater has not been used in over 2,000 years. It is a weapon of last resort." The Emperor turned to face his general. His voice was like thunder mixed with ice. "These humans have made this a fight for the Empire's survival. If we cannot rule the galaxy, then we will destroy anyone who challenges us." The Star Eater was the Empire's ultimate weapon. It was a ship so large that it had its own gravity. Bigger than most moons, it carried a weapon that could destroy entire planets. The Empire had built it long ago to frighten rebellious worlds into submission. For 2 millennia, the Star Eater had waited in the hidden Omega system. The Empire had never needed to use it. Just knowing it existed was enough to keep most species obedient. But now, the Empire was desperate. Commander Laura Thompson worked in the Cyber Warfare Division of the human fleet. Laura was 30 years, old with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was also one of the most dangerous people in the galaxy when it came to computer systems. Laura's job was to hack into Empire networks and turn their own technology against them. She had already taken control of defense satellites around 15 Empire worlds. The satellites that once protected Empire forces now targeted them instead. "Admiral Morrison," Laura reported from her station on the USSF Valiant, "I am detecting massive energy signatures from the Omega system. The Empire is moving something very large." Jack Morrison looked at the tactical display. The readings showed a ship that was impossibly huge. Its energy output was greater than some stars. Whatever the Empire was bringing, it was their most powerful weapon. "What are we looking at, Commander?" Jack asked. Laura's fingers flew over her keyboard as she analyzed the data. "Sir, based on these readings, the Empire has a ship that is over 200 kilometers long. Its main weapon appears to be some kind of stellar energy projector. I think they are bringing their planet killer." Jack felt cold despite the warm air on the bridge. He had hoped the Empire legends about a world-destroying ship were just stories to frighten enemies. But the sensor readings did not lie. "How long? Before it reaches Earth?" Jack asked. "At current speed, approximately 18 hours, sir." Jack activated the fleet communication system. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. The Empire is deploying a planet-killer weapon aimed at Earth. We are moving to intercept. This is what we trained for." Across the human fleet, captains and crews prepared for the biggest battle of their lives. They had won every fight so far, but this was different. The Star Eater was designed to destroy worlds. Could human technology stop something that powerful? Commander Greg Allen was the pilot of the USSF Ghost, an experimental stealth ship. Greg was 25 years old and had the fastest reflexes of any pilot in the human fleet. His ship was invisible to all known sensors. It could phase through solid matter and travel faster than anything else humans had built. Greg had been tracking the Star Eater for weeks, staying hidden in its massive shadow. His mission was to gather intelligence on the weapon's capabilities. What he learned terrified him. The Star Eater's main gun could focus the energy of a sun into a single beam. It could destroy planets from halfway across a star system. Its shields were powered by multiple fusion cores. Its armor was thicker than most asteroid belts. But Greg had also found something interesting. The Star Eater was so large that it had blind spots in its sensor coverage, areas where even a ship as big as a space station could hide undetected. Greg had been using these blind spots to study the weapon's design. "Admiral Morrison," Greg reported over secure communication, "I have been inside the Star Eater for 3 days. Its main power core is in the center of the ship, heavily shielded, but there is a weakness. The power conduits that feed the main weapon run through less protected areas." Jack Morrison studied the data Greg had transmitted. The young pilot had risked his life to gather this intelligence. "What do you need, Commander?" "1 quantum cascade bomb, sir. If I can get it to the right location inside the ship, I can turn their own power core into a black hole." It was an incredibly dangerous plan. Greg would have to fly his ship through the Star Eater's defenses, plant the bomb, and escape before the ship tore itself apart. The chances of survival were very small. "Greg," Jack said quietly, "you do not have to do this. We can find another way." Greg's voice was calm and determined. "Sir, my sister lived on Luna Colony. She died when the Empire bombed the civilians. I volunteered for this mission. Let me finish it." Jack understood. Every human in the fleet had lost someone to Empire brutality. They were not fighting for conquest or glory. They were fighting for justice and freedom. "Approved, Commander." "All ships will provide distraction while you make your approach." The Star Eater emerged from hyperspace near Earth like a mountain appearing in the sky. It was so large that it blocked out stars. Its weapons began charging with energy that made space itself glow. Admiral Morrison deployed the human fleet in defensive formation around Earth. 800 ships spread out to protect humanity's homeworld. They looked tiny compared to the Star Eater, like insects facing a giant. "All ships, open fire," Jack commanded. "Give Commander Allen the cover he needs." The human fleet attacked with everything they had. Plasma beams and quantum torpedoes struck the Star Eater's shields. The weapons that had easily destroyed Empire battleships barely made the giant ship's shields flicker. The Star Eater responded with its secondary weapons. Energy beams thick as buildings swept through space. Several human ships were destroyed instantly. Others were damaged and forced to retreat. But the attack served its purpose. The Star Eater's attention was focused on the fleet attacking its front. Its sensors were concentrated on tracking multiple targets. Greg Allen's tiny stealth ship slipped through the chaos unnoticed. Greg flew the Ghost through the Star Eater's hangar bay. The opening was large enough for a city. Inside, he could see Empire maintenance crews working on smaller ships. None of them noticed the invisible human vessel flying over their heads. The Ghost phased through internal walls and barriers. Greg followed the route he had planned during his weeks of reconnaissance. He knew exactly where to place the quantum cascade bomb for maximum effect. The bomb was a piece of technology that turned matter into energy in a chain reaction. Placed correctly, it would cause the Star Eater's own power cores to collapse into a miniature black hole. The reaction would consume the entire ship from the inside out. Greg reached the target location deep in the ship's core. He could feel the massive energies flowing around him. The Star Eater's main weapon was almost ready to fire. In minutes, it would unleash enough power to crack Earth like an egg. "Bomb deployed," Greg reported. "Beginning escape sequence." But as Greg turned to leave, Empire security forces finally detected his ship. Alarms began screaming throughout the Star Eater. Blast doors slammed shut. Energy barriers activated to trap the intruder. "Ghost, you need to get out of there now," Admiral Morrison transmitted. Greg pushed his ship to maximum speed. The Ghost phased through the closing blast doors and raced toward the hangar bay. Behind him, the quantum cascade bomb began its countdown. Empire fighters launched to intercept the escaping human ship. Energy beams filled the corridors as Greg twisted and turned through the massive vessel. The Ghost's invisibility was useless, now that the Empire knew exactly where he was. An energy beam clipped the Ghost's engine. The ship shuddered and began losing power. Greg was still deep inside the Star Eater when the quantum cascade bomb exploded. The reaction was beautiful and terrible. Energy flowed like liquid light through the Star Eater's power conduits. The ship's own fusion cores began collapsing under impossible gravitational forces. Space itself bent and twisted as a black hole formed in the heart of the weapon. The Star Eater, the Empire's ultimate weapon, began eating itself. Its massive bulk collapsed inward as the artificial black hole consumed everything around it. The ship that could destroy planets was destroyed by its own power. Greg Allen's final transmission was calm and proud. "Mission accomplished, Admiral. Tell my family I kept my promise." The Ghost was consumed along with the Star Eater. Greg died as he had lived, serving humanity with courage and honor. His sacrifice saved Earth and proved that even the Empire's most powerful weapons could be defeated. Across the galaxy, Empire forces watched in horror as their ultimate weapon was destroyed. The Star Eater had been their final hope. With it gone, many Empire commanders began surrendering rather than continue. A hopeless fight on Drakmor Prime, Emperor Thulmanek felt his empire finally crumble. His great,